Welcome everyone to our March monthly meeting of the Corangamite Shire Council meeting. I'm Mayor Kate Macon and we have lots of people in the gallery today. We're coming to you from Timboon Senior Citizen, so it's lovely to see, be out and about and be in my hometown of Timboon. So first off, I'll introduce everyone for you. So starting with the councillors to my left, I have Councillor Laurie Hickey, Councillor Ruth Castrain, Councillor Joe Beard, Councillor Jamie Bogles, Councillor Geraldine Canady and Councillor Nick Cole. And we have some new faces around the table as well. So we have a new Director of Works and Services, Mr. Sean Broadbent. Sorry, Sean. We have Justine Lindley, Director of Sustainability Development. We have Aaron Moyne, Manager of Planning and Building. We have Jared Woff, Manager of Facilities and Recreation. We have John Kelly, Manager of Assets and Planning. And around the other side of the table, we have David Harrington, Director of Corporate and Community Services. We have another new member, Chris Asenjo, Manager of Governance and Civic Support. Katie McMahon, Manager of Economy and Prosperity. And last but not least, we have our Mr. CEO, Mr. David Ray. So on with the meeting. First up, I'll go with the prayer. We ask for guidance and blessing on this council. May the true needs and well-being of our communities be our concern. Help us, who serve as leaders, to remember that all our decisions are made in the best interest of people, culture and the environment of the Corangamite Shire. Amen. Acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land around Corangamite Shire, the Eastern Maar and the Wadawurrung people. We pay our respects to all Aboriginal elders and peoples past, present and emerging. Mr. CEO, do we have any apologies tonight?
Madam Mayor, there are no apologies for this evening's meeting.
And do we have any declarations of conflict of interest?
Madam Mayor, the conflict has been declared in regards to item 8.1 and that is from yourself.
Thank you very much. I'll move on to item number 5, confirmation of minutes from the 27th of February 2024. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Cole, do I have a seconder? Councillor Castrain. Councillor Cole, is there any commentary on that one for you?
No, Mayor.
Councillor Castrain? No. All in favour? Motion passed. Thank you. So we have a deputation tonight on the agenda item which I have a conflict in. So I will step out of the room and I'll pass it over to my Deputy Mayor, Laurie Hickey. I'll give you that piece of paper. Oh, I will jump out this way.
Thank you, everyone. This is the agenda item 8.1, planning permit PP 2023/118, Tillub subdivision on Cooramungal Road, Cooramungal. Mr. Bright, would you please take your spot and address the audience? We have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Hickey, Deputy Mayor. And fellow councillors, thank you for giving us the opportunity. I've got an apology for our client. They're actually on leave as we speak, so otherwise they would have been here as well. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Anthony Bright. I'm the Director of Rod Bright & Associates, a licensed surveyor by background, and have been working in this region now for over 20 years. The past 12 years, we've been working on an electronic system called Spear, and so it's quite transparent. I can actually confirm that we've only had one other application of this nature that has been rejected by council, and it was a very similar one, which is why I raise it. In that instance, the dwelling had never formed part of that farming operation for over 20 years. The landowner was unlikely to use it for the next 10 to 20 years and was in the position where he needed to upgrade the kitchen and bathroom, but because the building didn't form part of his core business, what he decided to do was sell it to the tenant who was living in there. Sadly, council moved to refuse the subdivision, and I went past it just a couple of weeks ago, and if you don't mind, I'll hand out some photos. Yep. This is the building today. A little tin fence into the side of the building, that's where the man's running his calves. The building itself, as you can see, it's no longer habitable. We're here tonight, feels like we may be about to make a similar situation again. For those of you who were able to make that site visit, and we appreciate and thank you all for doing that, you have a bit of perspective of what's being proposed. It's an excision of a dwelling. A smaller parcel, in this instance, will be approximately 2.73 hectares, and it's in the southwesternmost corner of the lot. There's a couple of plantation buffers shielding that dwelling from the farmland. And the farmland itself, as you would have noticed, has already been ripped up and they're getting ready for the actual planting out. So in terms of what we're trying to look at, we have to deal with the planning scheme. If you look at clause 14.01-1L, which is the local part of the Corangamite Shire planning scheme, they have conditions that for subdivision in the farming zone, saying they must enhance farm consolidation or trading of lots between farms, not adversely impact on the ability to use the land for agriculture, and maintain sufficient land to support a viable agricultural enterprise. And then they have a subsection for the excision of the dwellings, and it says it can be demonstrated that farming can be continued on the balance of the lot unhindered. The dwelling is not required for farming use of the property. The dwelling is habitable. The dwelling is at the front of the property, is serviced by a road, and the lot design is designed in a manner that does not prejudice surrounding rural production. So those of you there will know that the dwelling is at the front of the property and that it is serviced by a sealed road. It is habitable. It's not required for the farming use. And finally, the farming use can be continued on the balanced land unhindered. So we seem to be ticking all the boxes that the council and staff have put together in terms of what they want to see achieved in allowing house lot excisions. Our client, Midway, is one of Australia's leading wood fibre processors and exporters. They've recently committed to investing in greenfield forest plantation land in the Geelong catchment, which will help reduce their business volatility. As stated or reported in a recent Guardian newspaper report, July last year, nearly 90% of the Australian timber comes from plantations, but next to no tree farms have been planted since 2010. The total plantation area is actually in decline. The government modelling suggests at least 400,000 hectares across Australia of new plantations is needed over the next decade.
Got about 30 seconds. Thanks, Anthony.
The federal Labor government is keenly aware of the need to assist, and they've commissioned that report. And if you talk to, if you look at David Rawlinson, who was formerly part of Planet Ark, he says it's an irrefutable fact that Australians like wood in their houses, in their furnitures. We've got a diminishing local supply, and we currently are starting to move towards tropical rainforests of Asia Pacific. We can be well-intentioned, try and save forests, try and save farmland, but we need to be careful that this activism doesn't result in adverse unintended consequences. I do have more, but I'm respecting the 5 minutes.
Yeah. Thanks very much for keeping our time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Escort the mayor back inside.
Radio. Moving on. Moving on to 7.1, Audit and Risk Committee Biannual Report to Council, March 2024. Mr Harrington.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. This report provides Council with a summary of activities undertaken by the Audit and Risk Committee since the last report to Council in September 2023. This report is provided in accordance with the Audit and Risk Committee Charter, but also with the Local Government Act, which requires the chairperson to report to Council every 6 months. During the review period, the committee met twice on the 7th of December and the 7th of March. There was one change in the committee membership with Mr. Colin Heyman retiring and the council appointing Mr. Jim Gifford to the committee. A record of attendance and committee activities are provided in the report. The committee made 2 recommendations to council, with both relating to updates to policies. Mayor, it is recommended that council receive this report.
Thank you, Mr Harrington. Councillors, there's a recommendation in front of you. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Canady, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hickey, Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Mayor. So there's not too much more to add really in terms of the report here. I think everything is there, but I will say that we're very pleased to welcome Jim Gifford onto the committee with his governance expertise. And like generally, like our independent members, like they've got really diverse skills that are really important for the roles that they play on the Audit and Risk Committee. So I think we're really fortunate with that. We've got skills in finance, governance, policy, and one person in particular has had really amazing experience in the corporate environment. And we do have really positive relationships, and I think we just have that willingness and commitment to persecute the matters that really are important to this council. So I'm happy to support this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Councillor Hickey, do you have anything else?
Very happy to second this as well. The Audit and Risk Committee is a very important part in the framework of governance throughout the local shires, and ours is no exception. This committee do a marvellous job, and very happy to second this recommendation.
Thank you. Any more discussion? If not, I'll put the matter to a vote. All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. Right. Move on to 8.1, the planning reports. I'll just excuse myself.
Thanks. 8.1 pertains to the planning permit application PP 2023/118 two-lot subdivision accession of dwelling 1361 Corangamite Road, Corangamite. Mr. Moyne, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you, I present Council with this report for planning permit application PP 2023/118. The application seeks approval for a two-lot subdivision, being an excision of the dwelling, which will excise the dwelling from the balanced farmland. The owner of the property wishes to retain the land for timber production, being a blue gum plantation, and sell the dwelling as they have no use for it. A current plantation development notice is in place on site for a 70-hectare blue gum plantation to be planted, with site establishment works having already commenced. The subject land has an area of approximately 89.45 hectares, contains a single dwelling, sheds and a dairy, with the balanced land previously used for agriculture and now being prepared for a timber plantation. Land within the area is predominantly used for agriculture, associated with dairy and beef production. However, 2 adjoining properties are also subject to plantation development notices, totaling an additional area of 141 hectares. The proposal seeks to create 2 lots, lot 1 being 2.73 hectares containing the existing dwelling as mentioned, and lot 2 being 86.72 hectares of balanced farmland for the timber plantation. Public notice of the application has been given and 2 objections have been received, which raise issues covering continuing farming practices, land use conflict, site management of the rural residential lot, land use change, and inconsistency with planning scheme direction. Planning assessment of the application has been undertaken and focuses on the policy direction of the Corangamite planning scheme, which discourages the creation of small rural residential lots in productive agricultural areas, particularly where they raise issues around the continuation of agriculture and future land use conflicts. The current and future agricultural use of the lands, including timber production, does not warrant or justify the need for the subdivision, and there is greater benefit in retaining the dwelling and farm infrastructure with the balanced land for connection with agriculture ongoing. The application is in direct conflict with the strategic and policy direction of the planning policy framework and provisions of the farming zone and is not supported. The recommendations provided before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moyne. Councillors, a recommendation is before you. Do I have someone to move that recommendation, please? Councillor Vogels, and someone to second that recommendation, please. Councillor Gistrain. Councillor Vogels.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I'd like to move the officer's recommendation to refuse the application for the permit. As outlined in the report by Mr Moyne in his introduction, the plantation development notice for this site was issued in September last year for a new 70-hectare blue gum plantation to be planted this year in 2024. And I want to point out that under the farm zone, a planting permit is not required for the new timber production plantation. So this aspect has not and would not come before council. But the permit is required for the subdivision and excision of dwellings. And we need to consider how this proposal meets or doesn't the proposed the decision guidelines for the farming zone, municipal planning strategy and the planning policy framework. The subdivision is being proposed so that the timber plantation developers can sell off the dwelling as a rural residential allotment. The sale of this house is in no way aligned to the plantation or surrounding farm uses, and it would only add to the negative impacts of short-term land use for timber plantations. It in no way outweighs the impact that this land use change, conflict and restriction of agriculture use will have if the subdivision were to occur. There are significant ripple and compounding effects. The subdivision would create a lot larger than 40 hectares where the use of the land for the dwelling would be as of right, increasing the potential for the future dwellings. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for housing development and housing for rural and agricultural workers in particular. But this subdivision proposal does neither of these things and it's in the wrong location. We are at a key stage as a council in considering the future of agriculture in the Shire, which is the largest generator of economic output and jobs and food, I might add, by far. We need to seriously look at how to protect our productive, carbon efficient farms and farming businesses, not disintegrate them with 1,000 gradual cuts. A dairy farm here, a cattle farm there, the threat to 900 million of economic output and 2,400 plus jobs from an industry that generates just 3 million, for an industry that generates just 3 million in our local economy is something we need to be very wary of. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Gistrain, would you like to add?
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'd like to say that every application that comes before council is judged individually and judged on its merit, and that's certainly what's happened with this application. There is certainly a concern about potential impact that creating a small rural isolated lot in a farming zone can have on adjoining agricultural operations. So that, and we've dealt with these, a couple of them over the last couple of months. And this is a similar situation. I think it's important that this house continue to be tied with the adjacent farming operations. It's a small lot. There can be no real agricultural purpose, so it's going to be very much a rural residential lot. And taking on board the photographs that Mr Bright circulated, I would hope that the applicants could look at providing this dwelling as key worker housing, if not for their own operations, for another local farmer. So they don't need to just deteriorate. They can be leased out. But yeah, that's about it, Mr Deputy Mayor. I will say that apparently the Planning Minister is now looking at imposing no excision on lots less than 40 hectares within a 100-kilometre radius of Melbourne. So and that's preserving and maintaining the important food bowl around peri-urban municipalities. But I can see further down the track, and I don't know if it's 5 years, 10 years or 20 years, but see that boundary exceeding the 100 kilometres coming further west and east. Obviously doing the same thing, preserving the food bowl of Victoria. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gistrain. Councillor, is there any further comment on this issue? Councillor Beard, then Councillor Canady.
Thank you, and through you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Vogels and Councillor Councillor Gistrain for your previous comments, and I have to agree of everything you've both said, and I love that you've reiterated that we take a case-by-case stance when it comes to anything planning. One of the most difficult decisions we have to make is our planning decisions, and it's never taken lightly. I want to thank Mr Bright for his deputation Following, on behalf of the applicant, so thank you for that. Following the meeting that Councillor Vogels and myself were at only a couple of weeks ago at Simpson, which was the forestry and planning meeting that was convened by Richard Reardon from Colac, Midway actually got a chance to present to us, and it was pretty evident that their hardwood is specifically grown for export to China and Japan. So I understand that there was a reason for you to acknowledge that domestically here in Australia we're struggling to, keep up with the demand for wood, but that's softwood, particularly with the building. So I do challenge that it's difficult to make a decision to, support the likes of these hardwood foresters like Midway when that stuff isn't even grown to support our country. So that was one thing that stood out to me, was we needed to really benefit our communities. I think Councillor Gastran was right in terms of being a good corporate citizen. It'd be great to see a company like Midway actually supporting these houses to not go into disrepair. I think there's a way that they can connect with the community by allowing those houses to be habitable. When you see that photo, that is clearly uninhabitable. And I don't think that's on us to have to decide which houses should be like that. I firmly believe that we are here to protect the right to farm. And that's why I am agreeing with both my previous councillors on this decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Canady, there's something to add to that?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And without wishing to sort of duplicate too much of what's already been said, and yes, I agree with all that's been said before me. But, I do keep going back to our NPS and PPF and that strong strategic direction that we've set, and obviously with good reason. And I just feel like this application presents more of a range of risks to planning outcomes rather than any compelling benefit. So that's kind of what's standing out to me. I can't see that compelling benefit. And the retention of the house has been cited as a reason for supporting this subdivision, but I think in this case it will result in an isolated lot in the ag zone, and I don't think this is good strategic planning, and nor is it good forward thinking for the good of Corangamite Shire. And I think that's what we need to keep front of mind every time these sorts of planning decisions come before us. And they're always a difficult decision because, you try to sort of look at both sides of the equation and, try and be fair-minded about it. But I feel like that all those risks, if you like, in the farming zone, that they are well-founded and they've been known to actually occur. And I think, we need to be very meticulous, if you like, in ensuring that, we do have well thought out planning decisions, and that, that's the strategy and the direction around those planning decisions is that we keep that front of mind, because these are long-term decisions, and we need to ensure that the decisions we make aren't going to have, a really negative impact further down the track. And so, that's how I said. So thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Council, is anything further? Councillor Vogel, would you like to add anything?
I would like to add, Deputy Mayor, that as we all know, there is a housing shortage of houses to buy and definitely houses to rent in the Shire, and someone like Midway moving in, and to be a good corporate citizen, like Councillor Beard said, would to me mean that they actually employ people within the Shire, which they would need people, houses for people to live in, and this is their perfect opportunity to house their workers that they could have in the Shire. So it's not a total loss.
Okay, thank you. And I'd just like to thank Mr. Bright for his deputation before I put it to the vote, coming along tonight. So, councillors, I'll put it for the vote. All those in favour of adopting the recommendation? Those against? So carried.
Oh, thank you so much. Right, moving on to 9.1, officers. We're up to officers' report. So 9.1, naming of roads, features and localities, policy review. Mr Aaron Moy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I present Council with this report on the naming of road, features and localities policy. The policy sets the guidelines and principles that Council needs to follow when considering naming a road, feature or locality within the Shire under its responsibility. This excludes arterial roads, freeways, places of regional, state or national significance, private assets and state-owned land as well. A policy review has been undertaken with updates and changes made to improve the policy structure and language, ensure alignment with the naming rules 2022 and provide alignment with Council's Aboriginal participation in engagement plan and gender equality action plan. The policy also aligns with the naming rules set under the Geographic Place Names Act. An updated policy is being prepared for Council's adoption and the recommendations provided before you.
Thank you, Mr Moy. Councillors, there's a recommendation in front of you. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Beard, do I have a second? Councillor Hickey. Thank you. Councillor Beard.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Look, this is pretty administrative, but it's important that all our policies adhere to whether it be legislative changes or requirements, and particularly in line with not only that, it's also our local expectations. Having been through supporting a community member who wanted to go through a road naming change, it can be a bit of a lengthy process, but we need stipulations around how that process carries out. And having this guidance for everybody, not only our ratepayers, but more importantly our organisation, is really important. And as I said, it's brought up to standard because of the changes to legislation. Saying that, I really want to remind people that if they are out there and they're thinking that it's something that they have often thought about and have never been or never wanted to do, please get in contact. It is something that can be achieved, but obviously it needs to go through the correct process, but more importantly, tie in with the reason why the current name is the way it is, and potentially what there could be in conflicts going forward. But it is a good process to go through when you get the achievement at the end, particularly for a family. That means a lot to them. So I think this is a great policy, and it is an important one because it can have some blurred lines sometimes. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Hickey.
Yes, it is administrative. It is, however, a very significant policy. The naming of roads, features and localities, if they were changed on a regular basis, it would be very confusing to a number of citizens around. So it is a very, very important policy. The changes are small but significant, so we're very happy to second the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Bless you, Councillor Cole. Any other commentary? Councillor Extreme.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to see that we're avoiding duplication, since in Camperdown there's Park Road, Park Avenue and Park Lane, and it becomes very confusing, and we have tried to change it, but everybody wants everyone else's street to be renamed and not their own. So I'm glad we're not going to see that happen again.
Lovely. Thank you. Any Councillor Cole?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've just one comment about some of the names of these roads are quite historic, going back a long way, and some of the names have been sort of historic name of one that comes to mind is in Cobden Cemetery Road, I think it is, and Woodlands
Cemetery
Road.
Lane.
Cemetery Lane, Woodlands Road. It's one end of it's called Woodlands Road, and the other one's Cemetery Lane, and the road joins up. The Woodlands part of it was lost for a long time. No one understood it, but they're named that way for a reason. So it's got to be make sure that the reason is preserved and maintained.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillor Vogels.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this policy won't get time to gather any dust before it's pulled out very soon, because we'll be looking to name the streets for our new estate, Trestle Estate, and we've got obviously some trails coming up that will be required some naming. So I think it won't gather some dust before she's dragged out and read thoroughly.
No worries. Yes, Councillor.
Just in closing remark, if that's okay.
Of course you may, yeah.
Madam Mayor. And I'm really sorry, but this is a question without notice, Mr. Moyne. But in the consultation phase, you've got a voting poll could be used. I was just wondering how that would play out. Is that something, because there's obviously letter and emails to affected to affected residents. How do you see a voting poll carry out? Is that something that could be online? Or, yeah, I just was querying that because it's something new for us.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you through, Madam Mayor. Thanks for the question, Councillor Beard. So the policy outlines the different types of consultation that can be undertaken. So that would typically, in that case, if a voting poll were undertaken, be held online or through social media to try and attract interest and invite participation in naming itself. So we would work as officers on framing the type of consultation and the question itself, but that's another tool to use for consultation on a name.
Thank you.
No worries, thank you. No other commentary? If not, I'll put the motion to a recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Motion carried, thank you. We move on to 9.2, Events and Festivals Grant Program Policy Review. Ms McMahon.
Thanks, Mayor. So the report before you tonight considers an updated Events and Festivals Grant Program Policy. This policy outlines how Council supports and provides grants for events and festivals. Council's existing policy was adopted in 2022 and Council has received feedback over the last couple of years that outlined a number of issues and opportunities. Officers have reviewed the existing policy and prepared an updated policy, with key changes being alignment with recently adopted policies such as growing costs for Corangamite, and also in recognition of the diversity of events across the Shire. The new policy outlines 2 streams of funding with different allocated amounts, one being for local events and festivals and another being for signature events and festivals. The new policy also introduces the opportunity for triennial funding. So this is where event organisers can be provided with a confirmation of funding for 3 years, enabling organisers to be able to undertake event planning outside annual grant programming timelines, and also provides them an opportunity to apply for additional funding. We've also updated some changes and clarifications to the eligibility criteria and provided more clarity about the in-kind support and outlining the removal of traffic management, which will now be considered through a separate policy. The updated policy responds to feedback received and is before you tonight for consideration.
Thank you, Ms McMahon. There's a recommendation before us, councillors. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Vogels, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Pastrana, Councillor Vogels.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. We've had a Events and Festivals Grants program for a number of years, and it seems that every year we tweak and refine the policy to make sure it keeps up with what the community and patrons want, as well as using our ratepayers' money appropriately. But also the policy needs to provide the right level of support for many volunteers who put a great deal of effort, time and their own money to running the great events we have in the Shire. In just the last 2 weeks, I attended 2 events supported by this grants program, the Timboon Tracks and the Crayfest in Port Campbell. A great time at both. And I saw firsthand how much goes into creating a successful event. A lot of increasing costs are related to compliance, and the changes to this policy are important so that we can have a greater confidence that a community can continue to run events that are successful, sustainable, fun and safe. Thank you.
All right, Councillor Pastrana.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I think it's great that Council continues to support events and activities that we have at festivals right throughout the Shire. Really pleased to see the signature events coming in where they can, organisers can apply for up to $7,000 for events greater than 2,000 participants, whether it's dollars or in kind, and importantly, give that security to those larger events going forward in planning. It's also great that Council are offering opportunities for mentoring, festival organisers, marketing and promotion. So there's a range of opportunities there, and so I know that the amount of work that goes in the volunteer hours in putting festivals and events together for our Corangamite residents and visitors, it's great that we're able to support them in this small way.
Thank you, Councillor Pastrana. Any other commentary? Councillor Kennedy?
Thank you, Mayor. Really everything that I've made in my notes has already been said, but in addition to that, I really wanted to say that I think this update's been really well considered for a very good outcome, and I want to thank especially Katie McMahon and all the other officers that were involved in the work here. I think when you read into the detail of it, I think that there've been some really productive outcomes here, and the provision of support to our local events will certainly continue to be very strong. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. No more comment. Councillor Beard.
Yep, through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. And I think this is just more so a comment for us as councillors. because there's been some changes to the policy and some of our previous events and festivals that have been run in our communities. I notice there's some people here that have been involved with a lot of Timboon events over the years. There is some slight changes. So although the EcoDev team and the Grow and Prosper team will be, I no doubt, emailing the changes to and I guess communicating with those community groups, it's important, I think, for us as councillors, where we know, particularly with the smaller events, that we remind those community groups to work with the council officers because of these changes until, I mean, they're not too significant, but they're still important. There could be something missed. And I know in the upcoming agenda item, when we talk about traffic management, that's another one where we really need to make sure we work with our communities whilst these changes become more normal. So it's more just a comment and reminder for us as councillors.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Any other commentary? Councillor Cole.
Mayor, I think one of the parts of this is mentoring. I noticed that the last Tracks event was well run, and they had a youth section which was run by Freezer, mentoring, letting younger members of the community experience the stage and playing music in front of other people. I think that is an outstanding way to look forward to people to be able to mentor and get a foot in the door, so to speak, and get on stage and get it happen.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other commentary? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. I'll move on to 9.3, support for events and festival traffic management and associated local law fee exemption policy. Ms Lindley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Over the last 2 years, there have been significant changes in legislative requirements for undertaking traffic management and placing signs on regional roads Victoria, that is the state government roads. The changes have included strict certification and accreditation requirements for which council is no longer an accredited organisation. That effectively means our staff cannot put up or create traffic management plans for community events. As a result, there are increased costs associated with engaging accredited traffic controllers and up to 8 weeks delay before a third party can obtain approval to undertake traffic management on these state roads. This new policy outlines the support that council may wish to provide for traffic management and local law fee exemptions as they apply to community events and festivals only. The officer's recommendations before you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Lindley. There's a recommendation before you, Councillor. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Hickey, Councillor Strain, happy to second that one. Thank you. Councillor Hickey.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. It's important to know that the council is no longer responsible for traffic management for festivals and events, and so our internal staff aren't able to assist volunteers with running the organisations how we perhaps once would. So the very job of getting an accredited traffic guidance scheme, obtaining permits from Victoria, Regional Roads Victoria, provide traffic management during the events, is all falling back to traffic management companies. And these are coming at an expense. I'm sympathetic to organisations and volunteers who do have to meet this increased charge because it's another risk, another financial risk to the events, and it's becoming a little bit more complicated than what it was once. But nevertheless, I'm happy to see that we're able to provide some assistance to volunteers when they are running these events and festivals to be able to cover the organisation of traffic management. So very happy to move this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Strain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Once again, it's the volunteers that are going to be impacted by this change from at the state government level. And council, I'd like to thank Mrs Lindley and actually the staff right across the board, because the facilities team, the roads, works and services team, all came together to pull this policy together, and we had several goes at it because we were modelling it on what's happened in the last 12 months with festivals and what the costs were going to be. So it's certainly taken a little while, and we've come up with that council will pay 100% or up to 5,000, whichever is the lowest. But there's still going to be some events that this isn't going to cover, that the volunteers themselves are going to have to find additional funds to cover the traffic management plans. It's certainly very disappointing. I'm pleased to say that this isn't going to affect any of the Anzac Day, Remembrance Day parades that happen throughout our council space. So once again, it's regulation and accreditation, things coming down from state government onto local communities, and council have to step in and carry some of the burden. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Castrone. Any other commentary? If not, Councillor Cole, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The only thing I'll note is, apart from the increased cost, which has been mentioned, comes back to the volunteers, but the 8 weeks prior also makes it very hard. It's full 2 months before your event, so you've got to really have everything in line. You can't just decide you're going to put on an event and shut the road or something within. It's got to be well thought out and done beforehand. So it is a big impost all of a sudden to communities and volunteers. So
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other commentary, Councillor Hickey?
I'll just quickly note that 100% the reason behind the need for this is just the more increase in red tape and bureaucracy from higher levels of government. So it's 100% why we have to go this way. That's not a council thing. It's forced on us from higher levels of government.
Just one point I forgot to mention was too that perhaps organisers of festivals and committees may well choose to engage with our Shire and just see if there's another alternate way to avoid the traffic management plans. The event may be run at a different venue, for example. I know there'd be some events and festivals that couldn't possibly be changed, but some may be tweaked that may avoid the expenses being imposed on the festival. So it's worth getting in contact with the front office and asking that question if there's somebody there who can help, maybe with a different strategy to avoid this cost.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. No more commentary. I put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. I move on to 9.4, Business Continuity Policy Review. Sorry, Mr. David Harrington. Mr. Harrington.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. So this report recommends the adoption of the updated business continuity policy. The policy is an approach for ensuring that an organisation can continue business operations and respond effectively to disruptive incidents. The policy is part of a comprehensive framework that complies with the relevant Australian standards for business continuity systems. The policy has been updated to include the new cloud-based phone system that was implemented last year, and an update to the definition of risk to bring this in line with the risk management standards. The Audit and Risk Committee reviewed the updated policy and framework at its March 2024 meeting and endorsed the policy to Council for adoption. Mayor, there is a recommendation before you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Vogels, do I have a seconder? Councillor Kennedy, thank you.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. It's largely is procedural, and it's to keep the place running should things go wrong. And it's also important that this policy is kept up to date with changing the things that can go wrong. And I'm sure the CEO's arranged this very well, because otherwise you'd be the first person you ring. So it's a step down so everyone knows who's who in the zoo.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Mayor. Certainly, I think we're more vulnerable to business interruption these days than we have been previously, and no one wants that chaos or risk that comes with it. So I'm pleased that this policy has been reviewed biannually for quite a number of years, I think since 2016 or thereabouts. So that indicates how important it is and how we need to take a proactive approach to manage and prepare for this kind of a risk. I see that we had a complete revision again into 2022, and that we've had that monitoring and oversight from 3 separate parts of the organisation, including the Audit and Risk Committee. So I mean, I know that even the smallest changes or updates are vital, and they all go towards strengthening our position and readiness should a business interruption event ever occur. So I'm pleased to see this policy has been updated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Any other commentary? If not, I put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to 9.5, Community Planning Infrastructure Policy revocation, sorry. Mr. Kelly, this is yours. Thank you. Oh, sorry, I'm going to Mr. Woff. Sorry, I've got the wrong person.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor, this report recommends revoking the Community Planning Infrastructure Projects Policy, which has governed council and community involvement in the construction of new assets or asset renewals as an action of town community plans since its establishment in 2014. Council's Community Planning Infrastructure Projects Policy has been reviewed and has been recommended to be revoked following the delivery of a number of actions throughout the township community plans and the implementation of the community initiated projects policy. So that is to say that council's community initiated projects policy highlights the roles and responsibilities of council in initiating community group with respect to the development of community infrastructure and should be referred to in the absence of the community planning infrastructure projects policy. Councillors, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Mr. Woff. Councillors, there's a recommendation for you. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Beard, do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey, Councillor Beard.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor, and I think what Mr. Watt was trying to say, we've basically got two policies pretty much exactly the same. So in a nutshell, we're revoking one because the other one is going to do everything we need it to do. Is that right, Mr. Watt? That's good? Yep. What I'd like to say is that community planning is still an integral part of our organisation, and us as councillors really hold that in high esteem. When it comes to what we do for our community, we always revert back to what has the community wanted in the past, and does this, I guess, align with their aspirations for what they want for their community? Because every single community across Corangamite Shire, probably not dissimilar to other shires, but definitely here in Corangamite, every single community is different in a good way. So I think we have the policy in place that we work with the community. So when there's a community-led project initiated, that we have the policy in place to know whose responsibility is what and how that, I guess, that asset is going to be managed, which is significant. I remember back when that policy was created, and it was a great policy because we knew that it was in partnership. And that's the main thing that we have with our community, that no matter what we do in community planning, is it's in partnership. So happy to revoke this plan, less complicated, and we stick with the one that we've got that we know ticks every other box. So thanks, Mr. Watt.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Hickey?
No, I've got nothing further to add to that.
No worries. Do I have any other commentary? If not, I put it all to a vote. All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you very much. So I move to 9.6, cattle underpass policy. This time, Mr. Kelly, this one's yours.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. This report seeks council adoption to the cattle underpasses policy. The underpasses certainly have a positive impact for both road users and farmers, with a great separation between vehicles and cattle crossing the roads. This policy confirms a process for establishment and ongoing maintenance of the underpasses under council local roads. It notes that construction and maintenance of the underpasses are the responsibility of property owners, and the road formation and guardrail are handed over to council for ongoing maintenance. And also noted is that prior to construction, there's a written agreement entered into between the property owner and council confirming those responsibilities. So with that, it's recommended council adopt the cattle underpasses policy as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Councillors, there's a recommendation in front of you. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Castrain, do I have a seconder? Councillor Vogel, sorry. Councillor Castrain?
I don't have anything to add, Madam Mayor. It's only just minor changes and updates.
No worries. Councillor Vogels?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I put Mr. Kelly on the spot, back in the limelight, with a couple of questions on the decommissioning redundant underpasses? And firstly, my first question would be, how long is the life of a standard cattle underpass, if it's been properly constructed, of course? And secondly, since the policy has been in place, have any underpasses been removed and why?
So, through you, Madam Mayor, generally the life of cattle underpass would be similar to that of a concrete bridge structure. It'd be about 100 years. To the second question, at this point, we haven't removed any.
Okay, so can I just chuck one more in there then? Who can initiate declaring an underpass obsolete? Is it the council, Regional Roads Victoria, an adjoining landowner, or somebody else?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So within the agreement, there's an opportunity, I guess, with the negotiation with the property owner, if it's seen to be that the underpass is no longer being used, that council could announce it would be obsolete and take steps to do so.
And who would bear the cost of the removal of the underpass and the reinstatement of the road if there were two different landowners who didn't agree?
Through you, Madam Mayor, certainly we would take steps to minimise costs as much as possible, whether there's opportunity just to close off the underpasses such that they can't be used. So that would be, I guess, the first option. To this point, we haven't had to remove any, so I guess that'd be the last step to be taken.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kelly. Now I recognise that this is a review of an existing policy, and I've not really got any concerns. But with the recent land use changes between dairy, for example, and the increase in plantation timber, some very expensive infrastructure could be placed at risk of removal for perhaps a very temporary land use change.
Thank you, councillor Vogels. Any other commentary? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. I move on to 9.7, Special Charge Scheme Final Cost of the Timboon-Curtivara Road footpath. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. So this report confirms that works are being completed with the construction or installation of the footpath on the eastern side of Timboon-Curtivara Road from Lambert Street to Haywoods Road. And costs have been finalised. Final cost of the scheme was just over $77,600, with property owner contribution to be of just over $19,400. Costs have come in under the estimated costs provided at the time of declaration. There is some small savings to those to be passed on to the owners. The footpaths provided benefits for both property owners and the community, with improved access to the Timboon CBD and also to the swimming pool to the north. So with that, it's recommended that council vary the costs of the special charge schemes and seek contribution from the benefiting owners.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Councillors, there's a recommendation for you. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Castrain. Councillor Beard, second it. Thank you. Councillor Castrain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors went on a tour around Timboon this afternoon, so it was great to see this footpath finalised. It's certainly been on our agenda for a number of years, so it's a very long section of footpath that's been constructed, and I'm pleased to say that Mr. Kelly's done it again. He's our best estimator of costs, and it's come in under budget. So I think it'll get a lot of use, not only by the property owners but the wider community. And I certainly thank the property owners for contributing to the total cost of this project. So great outcome for Timboon.
Thank you,
Madam Mayor.
Councillor Castrain. Councillor Beard.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Look, nothing more really to add, but 100% strike rate, I think. Mr. Kelly's got with special charge schemes, no pressure for any others, but although a small amount, it just goes to show how much, I guess, care goes into when we do these special charge, or not when we do it, obviously when the officers do the special charge scheme, and get as close to as they can, so residents know exactly what they're up for. And but no, again, as Councillor Castrain said, it was a project that was on the books for a long time, so it's great to get that one completed.
Thank you. Councillor Beard, any other commentary? I'd just like to say thank you to Mr. Kelly and his team for getting this footpath done. It's nice to have one up on my husband, who was trying to get this done when he was in council, so it's nice to have it done. But I must admit that I've used it quite on a regular basis, and lots of the community have said that it's a great asset to the town, joining the trail and the loop and everything else like that, so coming back down safely to the pool. So thank you to you and your team. You've done a tremendous job, so well done. Thank you. Councillors, if there's no more commentary, can I put the recommendation to a vote? All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you very much. I move on to 9.8, Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program 4B, Project Nomination. Mr Wolf.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor, this report is for Council to endorse a project to be funded under the Federal Government's Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program, Phase 4B, following a project that was previously endorsed being since deemed ineligible. That project was the Morris Street footpath in Port Campbell, and as a result, it's proposed that the Skipton Jubilee car park project is endorsed for consideration under this program. The project has been identified as an off-road facility that aims to support the visitor economy, encouraging visitors to stop in Skipton following the floods in 2022. Councillors, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Mr Wolf. Councillors, there's a recommendation before you. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Vogels, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Cole. Councillor Vogels?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the officer's recommendation, but if I can add a part 2 to the motion, and that would just be that the council refer the Morris Street footpath project to the 2024-2025 budget process for consideration.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? That is in the motion? Pardon?
Yes, that's the motion.
Okay, right.
Does Councillor Cole agree with that?
Does Councillor Cole agree to that motion?
Yes, I think, yes.
Yes?
So it's just to refer to the budget process for consideration.
Sure. Okay. Discussion on that motion?
So, Madam Mayor, the Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program is an extremely important program for the council and the communities, and has meant that we have been able to complete a range of roads and infrastructure projects throughout the whole Shire that might have not happened otherwise. In Port Campbell, the footpath in Morris Street is I know this is a worthwhile project, but although the officers have asked that it be funded from the LRCI, it has not been possible. So while I support the Skipton project going into the program instead, I do not want to see the Port Campbell residents disadvantaged as a result of the Morris Street footpath fall by the wayside. If we could make sure that we at least consider allocating capital funding to the Morris Street project in the 2024-2025 budget, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cole, you have some discussion on that one?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm more than happy to support the Skipton Jubilee car park and consider the Morris Street footpath for the budget in next year, or this year, coming financial year.
No worries. Any other commentary on that one? No other commentary? I put, yeah, cool, no worries. So I just put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Yep, no worries. Passed. Thank you. Sorry, you just threw me a curveball.
The deliberated at budget.
Yes, yep.
So for consideration.
Yep, no worries, that's fine, sorry. Apologies. 9.9, Business Assistance Scheme, Miss McMahon.
Thank you, Mayor. Council's new business support scheme, the business scheme supports council's businesses, creatives, entrepreneurs and community enterprises through 4 streams. Business facade improvements, creative industries and placemaking, community enterprise, fees and enabling infrastructure. One application is being considered tonight through stream 2, creative industries and placemaking. The aim of this stream is to support and build the capacity of entrepreneurs, creatives and businesses, and to create and deliver inclusive and vibrant projects and activations in public spaces or places that are accessible to the public. The application recommended for support tonight is from Alderwood Manor in Cobden. The project is for a new activation at the venue that builds on the success of the 3 musical jam sessions with the introduction of an open mic and employment of a musical lead artist to create a structure to the events, alongside the purchase of musical instruments and wireless connectors. The application meets the objectives of the Business Assistance Scheme program and contributes to the growth and prosperity of Corangamite.
Thank you, Ms McMahon. There's a recommendation before you, councillors. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Beard, do I have a seconder? Councillor Cole. Councillor Beard?
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor, I honestly thought Councillor Cole was going to jump at this one because he is someone who has been there and experienced these Friday night jam nights along with myself. But this is a great addition to the programming that Alderwood Manor are being able to provide to not only the Cobden community, but it really is across the broader region. It's certainly getting a lot of recognition far and wide. Even I think we even had some travelling musicians through the folk festival that are definitely coming back. So it's artists like that that are wanting to be in a creative space like Elderwood Manor. I mean, this is the place you'd normally go. You wouldn't find in a rural community. You expect it in some of the, major other parts of the state, but we're so lucky that we've got it there, and it's great that the council can continue to, I guess, show their support in small ways like this. Although we say it's a small way, it's going to mean a lot to the proprietors of Elderwood Manor, I should say, and just be able to increase the capabilities that they can provide on those Friday night sessions. It's not every Friday night, but I think they're back to once a month. But it's certainly really well attended. And to see the various artists that are attending, local people that have got incredible talents that are even probably sitting in their bedrooms at home on their own and are now sharing that with the broader community through this facility. So often to sit there with the mouth drop going, wow, like this is right here. And it's really different, diverse musicians, supposedly, like that are bringing really something different to our region. So really excited about this one, and kudos to Elderwood Manor for putting in an application.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Cole?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I noticed this is a business grant for entrepreneurial people in the Shire, etc. And I think Elderwood Manor ticks all those boxes. It does extraordinary things down there, as well as making speakers, which are now going all around Australia, some overseas, and a lot of them in Corangamite Shire as well. And the most extraordinary speaker systems that you hope to hear. And I fully endorse the work that they're doing there. They're doing a great thing and bringing other people into the community from outside to host or put on events that benefit local people in the community, and to get that level of talent coming into the area, and for local people to be able to witness and see here is a wonderful thing. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other commentary? If not, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to 9.10, the Ready Now grants allocation for March 2024. Ms McMahon again.
Thanks, Mayor. The report outlines the Ready Now grant allocations that have been approved in the last 3 months. The new Ready Now grants program was adopted by Council in September 23, and it supports the community with small, quick grants to volunteer-based community groups for proposals that are not readily able to be considered under Council's other grant programs. The program is flexible and responds to community needs, with applications assessed as they are received and approved by the CEO under delegation. 6 grant allocations have been provided over the last quarter, being Camperdown Bowling Club with $195 for the replacement of a defib battery, Camperdown Pastoral and Agriculture Society with $500 for contribution towards the relocation of a water meter, Terang and District Progress Club for $384 for purchase of a portable speaker, Port Campbell Rifle Club with $500 for purchase of a solar water pump, Port Campbell Public Purpose Reserve Committee of Management with $500 for the construction of a portable 9-hole mini golf course, and Lake Pooka Recreation Reserve Committee of Management with $500 for roadside signage. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms McMahon. There's a recommendation. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Cole, seconder. Councillor Hickey. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Once again, this Ready Now grants supersedes the old quick response grants, and hopefully changed it a bit, made it a little bit more flexible and easier to use. But it's still, the grants have to be quitted before, submitted before they can be acquitted, and can't be done in hindsight. So they're just another way of helping out small groups get those small jobs done on the whatever building grounds or wherever, and just helps them keep functioning and make life a little bit easier. And hate to correct you, but it's Lake Pooka.
Right.
Right, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillor Hickey.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, great program that has run the Ready Now grants. 6 people, 6 organisations. Congratulations for your success in the application. And I would just point out the Lake Bukar Recreation Reserve signage is well needed, because I believe the mayor was lost there last week trying to find the area. So that will be certainly well utilised.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey, for pointing that out. Any other commentary, Councillor Strain?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to note that at this point in time, there's just over 13,000 has been spent out of the budget of 24,253. So there's about $11,000 still able to be claimed. So if you're an organisation and you've got an urgent need for a piece of equipment, please get onto the council website and apply.
Till June.
Until the 30th of June, yes.
June, right?
We hate seeing money being left in the pot.
No, we do not. That's all right. So get out there and think about it. Councillor Vogels.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think since we made the change from to the new system with the now ready grants, it's a quicker and easier process to get through. And one of the projects is the 9-hole mini golf course that for the Port Campbell Public Purpose Reserve has had built by Tim Boone's Men's Shed, has built it and finished it, and it'll be for use on Sunday at the Port Campbell Market at the tennis courts. And I've been invited down to do the opening. See the council's put a small amount of money into that, so that'll be quite happy to go down there and do that. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Any other commentary? If not, I put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. I move on to item number 10, which is other business. Do councillors have any other business they'd like to raise? Councillor Vogels.
There you go. I think I've used up all my words for the month. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
No worries.
So other business. So Tim Boone fibre to the premise. I would like to raise the matter in other business, which is now regarding Tim Boone fibre to the premises project, and the motion. And I'd like to move this motion is the council write to the Minister for Communications and NBN Co, asking for an update on the implementation of the Regional Connectivity Program, the RCP project, which was to see fibre to the premises installed to 531 premises in Tim Boone, and that if the project has indeed been cancelled, as rumours are saying, and an explanation for the reasons and any blockages that were accounted that are stopping this. So, Madam Mayor, you may recall back in April 2021, the Commonwealth Government announced that NBN Co had been successful in funding bid to change over the fixed wireless network in Tim Boone to fibre to the premises. The funding that was announced was to be valued at $2,555,354. It appears now that this particular project may not be proceeding. Although we haven't yet been provided with any official notification, word has been spreading throughout the community for the last month that this project is no longer a go-ahead. Rumour has it that this is partially to do with costs and ongoing construction challenges faced by NBN Co and their agents, and this could involve complications encountered by the land acquisition team in finding suitable sites. However, it would be better not to rely on rumours but to have actual facts from the Minister and from NBN Co. And as I know, all of the council appreciates digital connectivity and access for our communities is a key part of our council plan, and we should ramp up our advocacy to make sure that towns like Tim Boone do not miss out on promised infrastructure.
So, Councillor Vogels, there's a motion in there. Can you just read
So I'll read the motion out again. Is that council write to the Minister for Communications and NBN Co, asking for an update on the implementation of the Regional Connectivity Program, the RCP project, which was to see fibre to the premises installed to 531 premises in Tim Boone, and that if the project has indeed been cancelled, and an explanation for the reasons and any blockages that they've encountered.
Okay. Do I have a seconder for that motion, please? Oh, yep. Councillor Hickey. Excellent.
I've said it all.
You've said it all. You're fine. Councillor Hickey, did you
I seconded for the motion.
Yep.
Second. Unless you want to say something, I've seconded for the
Do you want to
process.
say anything else?
Nope.
No. Does anyone else want to have any commentary on the motion going forward? If not, that's fine. All happy? Did you want to write a reply?
No, I'm good. I've said it all. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All those in favour of the motion? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Any other items of other business, councillors? If not, we'll move on to number 11, open forum. Mr. CEO, is there any questions that we have presented in open forum?
Madam Mayor, there have been no questions raised through the online streaming platform. However, I have received a question in advance of this evening's meeting from Mr. Dean Helson, President of Council Watch, and he has 3 questions he'd like to put to Council. And I'll read those out, Madam Mayor. What amount of waste enforcement costs in the current financial year has the council included in its waste levies charged to residents, if any? What amount of revenue has council included in the current financial year from waste enforcement actions? And has that revenue been offset in the waste levy or applied to council's general revenue streams? Madam Mayor, if you can direct the questions to Director Lindley, who can provide a response.
Thank you, Ms. Lindley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. CEO. With regard to the first question on the waste enforcement costs, Corangamite Shire has not included the cost of waste enforcement in its curbside garbage charge. And additionally, council does not apply waste-related levies to residents other than the curbside garbage charge to receiving households. With regard to the second question, the waste enforcement actions, council does undertake waste enforcement through its local laws, and although there are only minor occurrences of dumping across the Shire, there is no revenue received from waste enforcement actions. Which effectively means that the third question about whether revenue has been from those 2 actions is offset the waste levy or applied to council's general revenue streams, that's a moot point.
Yep.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. Mr. CEO, is there any others? There was no other questions, was there?
No, Madam Mayor, it was not.
We have quite a few members in the gallery tonight, which is lovely to see, and I didn't see before, but I happened to see sitting in the back row a former councillor and mayor, Mr. Neil Trotter. So thank you, Mr. Trotter, for coming along and seeing what we're doing. I'm sure it hasn't changed much from the days you're all sitting in this chair. So thank you for coming and seeing what we're up to. Any members of the gallery would like to have a discussion, have a talk tonight? Got any points to bring up? No, that is nice. I like that. That's good. We must be doing a good job. Thank you. So I call for a motion to suspend standing orders, please, because we've got confidential items to go on to. So can I have a mover and a seconder, Mr. Councillor Hickey, Councillor Vogels, thank you. So thank you everyone for, oh, sorry, I was jumping ahead, sorry, I was moving along. All those in favour? Thank you, motion carried, thank you very much, sorry. So I'd like to thank you all for joining in tonight to the March Council meeting. I wish you all a very happy and safe Easter. If you are travelling on our roads, please travel safely. Please allow enough time to get to your destination. And I look forward to seeing you all next month back in Camperdown in the council chambers there. Thank you and enjoy your night.